What's going on, guys? My name is Alexis Turan. I am the CEO of Recruiting with Systems. We help home service businesses build their sales team by implementing recruitment funnels inside of their business. So in this video, I am going to go over Indeed job boards or social media. This is going to be very fun just because social media recruitment is a relatively new thing that I kind of want to say that we started. I've recently seen it in the space a little bit more, but overall, before we were doing it, I haven't really seen anyone do it. So it's fun. It's definitely a long-term play, but we're gonna get into it a little bit on how it works. And then on the flip side, we're gonna get into Indeed, job boards, ZipRecruiter. I prefer Indeed. ZipRecruiter is usually a little bit lower budget people. So we're gonna go into that as well. And then I'm gonna compare the two. So that being said, let's get straight into it. Let's start with Indeed recruiting on how that works, right? So Indeed recruiting. Wow, it's too white. Let me clean this up. Sorry, guys. Let me clean this up. All right, Indeed recruiting. So we're gonna do the pros and the cons. Pros, cons. Then I'm gonna put like mistakes that everyone makes. Then I'm gonna put what we do. So pros are it works, right? We know it works because everyone does it. Um, um, Job hunters are on there, so there's people that are looking for jobs. Um, jobs, view resumes, and large pool to choose from, right? These are the pros, at least my pros, what I prefer. The cons are it's very sporadic, meaning every time we've used job boards, what ends up happening is it goes like this. We get a big leap, then there's a dry spell, and then there's another leap, dry spell. And this is not just for quantity, it's also for quality. It's very spotty on the type of quality applicant you're going to get, right? Which brings me to my next point. Same way the pro is job hunter, the con is also job hunter. So these people are usually desperate and they are job hunting, meaning they're not just applying to you, they're applying to everyone else. So speed is the name of the game. And if you don't jump on them quickly, they can go in and apply to another company. But you're just not always available to do speed because you have a business to run, right? So like you can even be, we've even had instances where we contact people a day, the following day, and they're like, "Oh no, I got hired by another job," and it's just like, dude, like how fast do we need to be? So at scale, you can't really do it. Now, another con is, if you're looking for sales guys, usually what happens is you get a bunch of sales guys, right? So you're just another job to work at, right? Same way how we get to view their resumes, all they're doing is viewing our resumes. And our resume is just, what we do. There's our companies, what we can do. So again, we're just another job to work at. So there's less importance and there's less branding available. Yes, Indeed has certain things where you can brand, you can talk about your company, but I've never seen it worth it. I've never seen it look a certain kind of way, right? So that's, not ideal. Okay, the next con is large pool to choose from, but it's bottom of the barrel. So essentially what's happening is you are looking at a pool of, damn, I don't even want to say this word, it's kind of like bad, but you're looking at a pool of people who don't necessarily, they need a job. Again, back to the desperate job hunting. These are people who need a job. So these are not always the most qualified people that you want for your company. So it's always kind of like not really fun, right? So these are the pros and the cons. Now, I'm going to get into, there's a lot more, but these are like the main ones I can think of off the top of my head. For the next slides, what I'm going to talk about is actually, let's do this. My final synopsis about job boards. My final synopsis is this, right? And if you guys have been in the industry for a while, this is you know this to be true. Job boards, Indeed, XYZ, these are good for volume hires. It's good to get people in the door, but you are not going to get super qualified people. So the problem is you are always going to have to be on job boards every quarter, every few weeks, every few months to bring people on board. And it just you just get caught up in this hamster wheel. And I mean, the final numbers are essentially, right, you get 10 people, let's say, apply. From those, maybe 4 show up to interview. And then for those 4, maybe 2 make it in office, right? This is average. And from these 2 that make it in office, maybe 1 stays past 30 days, right? These are like the honest to God numbers. So job boards are good for volume, right? They're good for volume. I don't think they're good for quality people. There are just if you want to get people in the door and in your company. And don't get me wrong, that's not to say that you won't find qualified people at these job boards, but it's just you're gonna have to mine a lot more, right? And this is the truth. So what we do, let me kind of like break down what we do. I'm really giving you guys like the secret sauce. So if you guys want to take this, copy it, and do it with your own company, feel free, right? Like, no shame in our game. So what we do is when we run an ad for a client, right? So let's say a client comes and says like, hey man, I want to hire some sales guys. We're like, okay, cool. So we know on average cost per rep, cost per application is, again, this is on average, sometimes a little higher, sometimes a little lower, is about $20 on job boards, right? Again, I'm not saying sorry. Okay, perfect. So $20 cost per applicant. So our goal is to get you a cheaper cost per applicant, right? Because just because someone applies, cost per applicant is just people who apply. $20 for someone to apply. Now, just because someone applies doesn't mean they're going to come into your office, right? So our job is to get our clients' cost per applicant down. Oof, should have done that. Down, right? We usually get it anywhere between $7 to $12, which is great, right? That means for every 2 of these is the average, we get double the average, right? So if the client is like, hey, listen, my budget is, $2,000, right? $2,000 for the month. Let's do the numbers. Okay, $2,000 per month divided by 12. That means we can get you, $2,000. Stop calling me. Divided by 12, we can get you 167 applicants, right? Let's do the real numbers. From those 167 applicants, let's say, maybe divide this by 10, 16. Let's say our show up rates are actually pretty well, just the way that we funnel everything. So let's say from out of 10 people, our numbers are usually about 6, right? 6 that show up. So times 6, that means we can have, that means we can have 100 people on the first interview, right? From those 100 people in the first interview, we know how numbers usually work. Usually out of 10, maybe about 4 or 5 also kind of are the ones that move forward to actually no, from the first interview to the second interview, it's really high. It's usually 6.5. So let's say 65 people. 65 people. Second interview. And then from those 65 people come into the actual office. That also gets further bogged down, probably to like 30 people, right? And from those 30 people in office interview, from those 30 people, usually we'll bring on actual, anywhere between 20 people can start, and then stay past 30 days, usually about 10 people, right? So that's usually our numbers, right? So out of every 100 people that apply, so 160 people apply, sorry. Let me color this a little bit more. Boom. Out of 167 people that apply, 100 people come to the actual interview, right? Out of the 100 people that come to the first interview, 65, 75, but I said 65 just kind of be normal. Mind you, I'm gauging you're probably like, where are you getting these numbers from? I'm doing it for a client right now, and I'm gauging it based off every 10 people that we interview. Every 10 people that we interview, 6 or 7 come to the actual one-on-one interviews. So that's kind of what I'm gauging, right? 65 people come to the second interview. Out of those 65 people that come to the second interview, half of them come to the office. It's a little bit higher. It's probably like 45, but let's just say, keep things light. 30 people come to the office. Out of those 30 people that come to the office, 10 of those start. Out of those 10 people that start, 10 people stay past 30 days, right? So that's how our Indeed numbers work on average. Sometimes a little higher, sometimes a little bit lower. But again, like I always tell people, it's not always about the quantity of people. It's usually about the quality of people, right? So how we get these numbers, how we get a lower cost per lead than the average benchmark is usually 2 things. We split test headline, right? Which is the headline is pretty much what people see before they read the job description. We split that. We split that like constantly, probably around 4 or 5 different times. 4, 5 diff times. And we use AI to help with that. And then something else, and mind you, this, I don't want to say this varies. I don't want to say too much, but what I was going to say is it varies on whether we're targeting brand new canvassers or experienced canvassers. But it's the same process. Whether it's experienced canvassers or brand new canvassers, we still split test 4 or 5 different headlines just to see what gets the best results. Every time we split test, we usually run things for 2-3 days. We're pretty quick. Like we can pretty quickly tell like if something's going to do well or not. And then we adjust the description probably about, it varies, but usually around 2 times. 2 times kind of where we adjust the description. We just try to make sure things are as simple as possible and easy to understand. A lot of times when I see, a lot of roofing companies or even solar companies, when they advertise, they try to make it sound like very cool, very hip, very like, hey man, like, come do this, come do that. And the process is people don't want to be confused, because the minute they start feeling confused on these job boards, it feels like a scam and no one wants to be scammed. So that is like what contributes to a high drop-off rate. On Indeed, they'll show you out of everyone that started an application, how many finished. Ours are usually a little bit higher than normal. I think let me get some real numbers for you guys here. Let me see. Let me get you guys some real numbers. Okay. So right now for one of our campaigns we're running for a client, our ACR which is a percentage of people who started the application and finished it. For one of their campaigns, it's a 93.8%. And for another campaign, for another office that we're running for them, it's a 78.6%. Now, what is the average? What is the average ACR for Indeed nationwide for DDD sales reps? This is gonna be a pretty long video. Okay, the average is anywhere between 40 to 80%. This is a rough estimate. The exact numbers, it couldn't pull it. So it's giving us an estimate based on it pulling the info from all different websites. So it says right here, my estimate for door-to-door sales reps nationwide ACR, a good estimate for an average application completion rate. I'll put this in the video, by the way. People who start the application versus people who finish for door-to-door sales reps on Indeed is likely around 50 to 70%. So 50 to 70%. For one of our clients, we're doing 90%. What was it, 90%? 93%, and for the other one, 78%. So for both markets, we're doing better than average. And what contributes to that is the clarity in the description, because the headline is how you bring them in, but if the description of the job isn't clear and it's false, people are going to drop off. And the reason I was bringing that up is because a lot of guys try to put a lot of superstar hype into their descriptions on Indeed, and I just feel like that doesn't really work. Like every time that I've tried that in years ago in the past, it just didn't really do what it was supposed to do. So I try to keep things as clear as possible. I try to show their pathway. Maybe I'll make that another video on how to properly make an Indeed post. But anyways, this is kind of what we do to ensure that we get good traction on Indeed. Something that's actually a con, and I'm gonna write it here too, because I thought about it and then I forgot, so I just kind of want to make sure I don't forget again. A con about Indeed that I really don't like is trash targeting. So when you spend a lot of money on Indeed, I think the metric is like $70 a day. They let you target, but it's not like meta ads. It's a 50-mile radius, and that's like as like good as it's gonna get. And it really doesn't, I don't like it at all. I think it's pretty trash, because what happens is I've recruited for clients that are in a good small town, but they're next to a big metropolitan city, and it recruits all those people. And there's nothing wrong with people from the city, but it just sometimes ends up being just not the right kind of people that you would want for your company. So that's why I didn't really like the 50-mile radius that Indeed does, but there's no way around it that I know of. If you guys do know, comment in the chat. Hopefully it'll help out. So yeah, fuck. Okay, next. Damn, I spit all over my thing. Next topic, right? Social media. So social media is actually how I got started, right? Social media recruitment is, I will be very honest. Actually, I'll put it in the pros and cons. Pros, cons. Social media recruiting is a long-term game. That is the con, right? Because it is essentially personal branding. And a lot of people don't understand that. They think, hey, if I throw out a few videos, it's gonna draw people in and they're gonna come in and work for me and blase. And that's really not how it works, right? For someone to come in and work for you and to trust you just off social media, they have to consume a lot of content and they have to trust you as a person. And that's something that we did very well with one of my clients. But we'll get into that later, right? So cons is long-term personal branding. A pro, though, is that it is personal branding. See, it's a con and a pro. The reason why it's a pro is because the better you get at it and the bigger your name gets, you are going to pull recruits like no other. You know, one of my clients runs a 60 million, well, he was an old client, ran a $60 million roofing company, and he would pull recruits every day, no matter where he was at. He was at the store, he's at the airport, he's at the car rental place, he was at a restaurant, he was at a freaking, you know, with his kids somewhere. Like, he would pull, people would just come up to him like, hey man, I seen your stuff. And then that would transform into, hey, are you guys hiring? Yeah, come work for me. And then boom, he would just pull recruits. Like, he'll just pull kids back to back to back to back to back to back to back. But again, it's a long-term play. But once that ball is rolling, that ball is rolling. I'm telling you. And another one of my clients actually got a lot of opportunities based on personal branding. A lot of speaking engagements, a lot of masterminds, a lot of invites to all these high luxurious events. And again, that also plays into recruiting as well. So, you know, that's a pro and a con. Another pro is the great separation. Now, what I mean by the great separation is essentially you will be seen more than just somewhere to work at. You know, they will put a face to a company, and people will come there to work for you, not the company. Think about it like this, right? I don't know who you are watching this, but if, let's say, Elon Musk is like, hey man, come do my roof, you're gonna say, hell yeah. Why? Just because it's Elon Musk, right? If Trump is like, hey, come do my roof, but can you like do it at cost, or can you just do it free? You're gonna be like, hell yeah, it's Trump. And the same thing, and that's the beauty of personal branding. Once you build that name, you build that reputation, you build that trust, people are gonna come work for you just because it's you. And what happens is when they get in the job, they get so much more invested and they work twice as hard. That is the great thing about personal branding and social media. Social media, personal branding go hand in hand. So I'm going to refer to a lot of things as personal branding, but it's really social media. That is the great thing about social media. It really puts a face to a name and builds that trust before people even walk in through the door. Something else that's great about social media is you can speak one to many. What that means essentially is, instead of you going out and shoulder tapping or going to colleges and telling people, hey man, come do this, come do that, come do this, come do that, you can just put up a post, and I've seen it happen, put up a post, hey, we're hiring, come work for us, and your DMs will get flooded with people to come work for you and your company, right? Now, again, depends on who you attract. You have to be very careful of the content, but the opportunity is there for you to recruit one to many. Now, cons, let's go to cons. Let's pivot back to cons. Cons is social media is expensive. Ka-ching. Social media is not cheap. And like I said, it's a long-term game. So you do have to be, I wouldn't recommend any company under 20 million a year. Actually, no, sorry, 10 million a year. I don't know why I said 20. I wouldn't recommend any company that's not generating under 10 million a year to worry about personal branding on social media. Like, it's not worth it. You're just going to blow a lot of money, and you're not going to get a return right away, and you're going to get upset. You're going to say it doesn't work, it's stupid. So if you're not making 10 million up, don't worry about it. Just do it the old-fashioned way. Another con is personal branding, right? This is another con, because this is what happens. You are now in the spotlight. So all your shortcomings are going to come to light. So with that being said, if you are a roofer who does not pay your sales reps, if you are a roofer who scams people, if you are a roofer who does a lot of shady stuff, now people are going to know who you are, and they're going to come after you. Now, that's not to say that everyone that gets attacked does shady stuff. No, haters are haters. But what I'm saying is, you have to be very careful of you being in front of the camera, being in the spotlight, because same way it can amplify things, it can amplify bad things. And that's the last thing we want, right? Another pro of social media is better quality recruits. Better quality reps. And the reason why I say this is because you're not going to hire, like in job boards, usually hire people who are hunting for jobs, right? They're desperate, they're just trying to job hop. Here, the people you're going to attract are not people that are going to be looking for jobs. They're not looking for jobs. They probably already have a job, but it's a different type of energy. Like they have a job, but they want something a little bit greater, and they see you, and you're that thing that's greater, and they're going to inquire and slowly cross over. They're not gonna get hired that week. It's gonna be a slow build, maybe a few weeks, maybe 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, maybe a month or two. But the more they see you, the more you're gonna be like, okay, I'm ready to come work for you. But when they hit your company, it's worth it. Exponential growth. Just because these are quality people. Mind you, these are quality guys. These aren't guys who are like looking for jobs. Like they have jobs. People want them. People want them and they want you. That's the super pro of social media. But again, it's a long-term game. It's a long-term game. So these are the pros and cons, right? So now let's put them all together, and this is how I think people should recruit. I should have gotten to the numbers of social media, but we can do that too. We can do that another video. I can make that's like a whole. I'll break down the whole funnel. Okay, so if I was a roofer, sorry, I was gonna write a bunch of stuff. Roofing CEO. And this is probably where a lot of you guys are at right now. Roofing CEO. Let's say 5 mil revenue. This is what I would do. Indeed. Social media. This is the exact game plan that I would do. I'm trying to be as detailed as possible, but not too detailed. I might do another video like really breaking this down. But my first 25 reps will come from Indeed. Right? Out of those 25 reps, I'm probably going to have 10 people that stay 1 year. Out of those 10 people, I will probably have, I'm saying probably because it really depends on your systems and training, but based on numbers, I will probably have 1 to 2 $1 million producers, $1 million players. Bam. Right? So let's say if we have 2, you're gonna get me to 6-7 mil. Then when I get closer to 10 mil, so this is gonna be your game plan, right? Your first 25 reps, and then you're gonna keep doing this. Like every quarter, you're gonna do this, or every quarter, or whatever you can afford. Every quarter, every half quarter, whatever, right? You're gonna get this right here. So by the end of the year, if you do this every quarter, you're going to have 40 reps. 40 reps. Probably trying to do the numbers. 4 or 5 $1 million guys. Sorry, I'm like horrible at this. $1 million guys. That's going to get you to 10 mil rev. Bam. Once you're at 10 mil rev, you still run this, maybe spend a little bit less money, but then you also run social media. And social media is going to get you your next 1 mil reps. And that is how you're going to scale to 15, 20 mil. Sorry I didn't break this super down. I don't want this video to be too long. And I'm getting dry, but my mouth is getting dry. I need some water. But if you are 5 million revenue at least, this is the game plan. Indeed first, build the pipeline, then jump off social media once you hit 10 million revenue, and then that's going to take you to the next 15, 20 mil. Granted, there's a lot of variables. Like this is not like a thing, but there's a lot of variables like, is your training, is your onboarding, how do you have your team structured, how do you have there's just so many variables that I kind of don't even want to like say this, but I know this works because we've done it. But the person who done it had a lot of their systems dialed in. We've helped like, you know, destroy and rebuild a lot of things. So this is the game plan. Again, so to answer the question, Indeed versus social media, I prefer both. If you can do both, run both. Social media is a long-term game. You're gonna get better quality people, but again, it's a long-term game. If you're going for volume, go to Indeed. You know, build that funnel, get a lot of people in. Yeah, man. Hopefully this video has been helpful. If you guys need my help, click the link below. I will take you to our VSL on how we built a team from 11 to 60 sales reps in a matter of a few months, doubling, almost tripling his revenue. Kind of just break down a little bit about this too. So click the link below, like, share, subscribe, follow, all the social media stuff. Let's Ryan, CEO of Recruiting with Systems. Thank you guys for tuning in, and see you on the next video. Next video, I am going to get into our social media funnel. That's going to be fun. It's going to be a pretty long video, but we're going to break it down. All right. See you guys on the flip side.